My name's Oscar Reed and I'm a current amateur boxer boxing at a Far Cotton Boxing Club. A student at Dice Midlands. Level 1 England boxing coach. Social media influencer, brand owner of Handspeed and online business owner. I grew up in Spain from the age of 5 months old and boxed throughout my whole life due to my father and grandfather both being boxers. I originally first started playing football as this was natural in Spain and everyone just played football, so I ended up playing for the town at quite a high level, travelling all over the country and competing for high stakes in tournaments and football games. During this period I was still training with my dad at home boxing, as we always had a punch bag up in the living room or wherever we could fit it, so I was always just training. And the boxing ended up helping my strength on the pitch. I was always faster, stronger and fitter than most of the other players. When I moved back to England, I went straight to football as I was comfortable in that environment. I ended up playing football 7 days a week for Leicester Foxes and still training the boxing at home, so sometimes doing 2 sessions a day. The football started to get harder, so I needed to get fitter and stronger. So I decided to come down to a Far Cotton boxing gym. Luckily, my father knew John from his boxing days, so we knew I come from a boxing family. He kept an eye on me when I was training and I was just hitting the bag, and he called me over and he said, "You boxed before?" I said, "A little bit at home." He said, "Get your sparring gear on." So there I was, my first proper sparring session. John's watching on the side, my dad's watching through the window, and I think I've got to prove myself. So bell rings and I'm boom, trying to take the guy's head off, trying to kill him. Luckily, John likes that fighting style. He likes aggressive coming forward, and so he was happy. After my sparring session, coaches were impressed and they said I got champion written all over me. And from that night, I fell in love with boxing and couldn't stop thinking about it. From that night onwards, I just wanted to box, 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 box. So slowly, the football went from being up here and boxing here, and it just transitioned to that. I then got carded pretty soon after that and had 2 fights in 2 months. Not too long after my 2 fights, COVID came, shut down. Luckily, my dad and my brother all living together, so we were sparring each other, pad work together, training every single day, sometimes twice a day. By the end of lockdown, we were all probably the fittest shape we've ever been in, ready to go, ready to start boxing again, ready to fight. And then, just as I was reaching my peak performance, that's when something brought me down. I was training for the development championships, training 2-3 times a day. I was a week out. I woke up one morning and I couldn't even lift my arms up. Both my arms were swollen under my armpit. I couldn't even put a t-shirt on. Straight away, I knew it was something bad. So I gave it a few hours, tried to stretch out, took some tablets, but the pain just wasn't going. Still couldn't lift my arms. Got about halfway through the day and I started to panic. The next day I was still bad, and that evening I had to call John up and tell him to pull me out of the fight, as I couldn't lift both my arms up, let alone throw a punch. Since then I've been back and forth from physios, doctors, acupuncture, massage, anything you can think of, x-rays, scans, MRI scans, anything under the planet when it comes to recovery. And a year and 8 months down the line, I still didn't know what was wrong with my arms and I couldn't box properly. Every time I threw shots with impact, the next day I woke up in excruciating pain. To now be in a position where I finally know what's wrong with my arms and finally going to be able to get back to boxing after having surgery. I've had time to work on myself mentally and develop my own business and brand on social media, as well as still learning every single day and studying the boxing game, analysing fights and improving my mental capacity in the ring, so when I'm back, I'll never be so ready. Thanks to Dice Midlands and Ivan Cobb, I've been able to improve my boxing ability without actually even boxing. I've got all the information stored and I've been learning the whole time to implement as soon as I get fighting again. So that's me, Oscar Reed, aka Speedy Reedy.